Plymouth Township of Plymouth Board of Trustees regular meeting for Tuesday, August 27th, 2024 will come to order. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Stewart.
Here.
Trustee Monahan.
Here.
Trustee Kearney. Here. Trustee Buckley.
Here.
Clerk Borba. Treasurer Dorshevitz.
I am here pursuant to the Attorney General's opinion 731. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Very loud.
Oh, sorry. Hang on, I got two things going on here.
Got his YouTube on.
Sorry about that. Pursuant to Attorney General's opinion 7318 of February 22, under the Americans with Disabilities Act, I can attend remotely. So I'm in my home in Plymouth Township, Wayne County, Michigan, and I have COVID, so I'm sure everybody in the room appreciates me not being there.
Thank you, Bob.
Well, thank you, Bob, and you stole my thunder, and I'm here too.
Supervisor.
I'm here too.
We have a quorum.
So, Bob, as Bob pointed out, he is operating tonight under Attorney General opinion issued February 4th, 2022. It's Attorney General opinion 7318, which allows for a public official to participate in a public meeting and vote in that public meeting if he or she is raising a issue under the Americans with Disabilities Act, which in this case, Mr. Dorshevitz has COVID and therefore can still participate remotely. Now, he is also watching us on YouTube, and there is a few minute delay or a few seconds delay between that and his comments. So don't be surprised if he'll pace himself, but you don't be surprised if he cuts in or if maybe he doesn't respond to an answer right away. So there's going to be a little bit of lag time there. It's kind of like listening to talk radio. You got to turn your radio off. So he's gonna coordinate that in a similar manner. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. How about Trustee Kearney tonight?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, item C is approval of the agenda. Mr. Clerk.
I move for the approval of the agenda for Tuesday, August 27, 2024.
Motion's made by Clerk Borba. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Monahan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Hi.
Thank you, Bob. Approval of the consent agenda, comments, questions. Mr. Kearney.
Two items I'd like to have removed from the consent agenda and at least talk about. Number one is the memorandum from Families Against Narcotics, and the other is the purchase of a new fire apparatus.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on anything else under the consent agenda? What we'll do is we will vote on the consent agenda. We'll have to take a roll call on that because there are contract items. And then what we'll do is we'll then move on to items 2E, which is the Hope Not handcuffs, and then to the apparatus for the fire department. Now, Chief Connolly should be en route.
Here.
Yeah, no, he's trying to get here because of the storm, so I'm not sure if he is responding to an emergency situation or if he's just having a hard time getting to the office here. So maybe what we could do on the fire apparatus is let's just hold that in abeyance until the chief arrives, okay?
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the approval of the agenda for Tuesday, August
Consent
27, 2020, the consent agenda for 2027 minus D, E, and F, which are being held out.
Okay, motion's made by Clerk Borba. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Buckley. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorshevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kearney.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart. Motion carries.
Okay, very good. So let's move on to that item E. That's the memorandum of understanding for the hope for handcuffs. Hope, not handcuffs. Mr. Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. What you have in front of you is a memorandum of understanding with organization Hope Not Handcuffs. This is an organization that I met through Dara Cockrum in Families Against Narcotics. We have here with us Safa Almazari. Safa, if you could step up, please. This is a program that is used throughout the country. In the state of Michigan, there's 140 different police agencies that currently use this program. This program, in a nutshell, for police officers, it gives us the opportunity that if folks walk into the front desk, they identify that they have an issue with narcotics, need assistance, that we can contact Hope Not Handcuffs immediately, and then Hope Not Handcuffs would send an angel to our police department that would be able to help our citizen or visitor that came in. Safa?
Yes. Hi, Council. My name is Safa Al-Masiri. I'm the Southeast Michigan Regional Coordinator for Hope Not Handcuffs. And just like Chief said, we are proposing to have Hope Not Handcuffs here in Plymouth Township. As you know, we are in over 140 police departments across the state of Michigan. And as of today, we have helped over 13,500 individuals to treatment. So anyone can walk into the police department and ask for assistance with, alcohol, whether they struggle with alcohol or substance abuse. And like Chief said, we will send out an angel volunteer and they'll assist them with a short intake and they'll call the PIHP three-way. That will determine where they will go to for treatment and we'll send them an Uber for transportation from the police department to the treatment center. So there's no officers transporting anybody. There's no liability there.
And I think some of the, this is a benefit for police department and our citizens because it's one more thing in our toolbox that we can have to help individuals. This is not, some of the things that people say is, oh, is this being soft on crime or this or that. This is not folks that are arrested for narcotics. These are folks that come in and say, I need help. Can you help me? And what resources do you have? And by contacting Hope Not Handcuffs, they would send representatives out, an angel, to assist that family or that individual. I've seen this program in the city of Farmington Hills, one of my previous employers, and it worked very well. I've attended Families Against Narcotics meetings down in Wayne. Chief Strong in Wayne, they use this program on a weekly basis. Individuals come into the Wayne Police Department, and they've had a lot of success with it. Canton, within the last year, has added this program as well. So as well as Novi, Northville, and I believe the city of Livonia and Redford are in the works for adopting this program as well.
Yes, I agree. And actually on my whiteboard in my office, I have about 12 police departments that are interested in this program that we're working on launching. So, just like you said, we really help individuals who are struggling. We can't arrest our way out of this, right? So we would like to help them get the help that they need so they don't keep doing the revolving door. Because if we arrest them for, let's say, if we arrest them for something that's minor, right? They'll go to jail, they'll come out, and they'll keep doing the same thing over and over again. That becomes that revolving door. So why not send them to treatment instead and get the help that they need, right? So that's what Hope Not Handcuffs is. We assist as many people as we can.
So this will not work if you pick somebody up on the road.
No.
It's only self-check-in.
Yeah, it has to be voluntary.
Self-check-in.
Yeah, they have to voluntarily come in and ask for help, yes.
Is this something that we should consider diverting any opioid money to? You don't have to make a decision now, but is this, we have an opioid settlement of $20,000.
Yeah, I can tell you that I attended the Michigan Attorney General's meeting in Canton about 5 or 6 months ago about the opioid, and Families Against Narcotics was one of the organizations that was there. So this, what is offered is free of charge, but yeah, that's certainly something that we could look at. We also, on the backside, we work with GrowthWorks. If we have individuals that are arrested and through that process, GrowthWorks, assist them. So we are also working with GrowthWorks. All righty, any other questions on this item? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk?
I move for the approval of the memorandum of understanding between the Charter Township of Plymouth and Hope Not Handcuffs, Resolution 2024-08-27-43.
Okay, motion's made by Clerk Forvis, seconded by Trustee Monahan. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Forba, yes. Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very
Motion
good.
carries.
We're going to move on to new business. This is item E1. This is a public hearing to receive comments concerning MITC Parcel 13 Brownfield Plan, Amendment Number 6 for Verita Communications, the Tesoro Property Group LLC, MITC Parcel 9. So we are going to have we're going to open up the public hearing with a roll call vote at 7:10. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Stewart. Trustee Monahan.
Here.
Trustee Kermy.
Here.
Trustee
Yes.
Buckley.
Here.
Clerk Forba, yes. Trustee Dorchevitz.
I'm sorry, what are we voting on again?
The opening of the public hearing for the MITC Amendment Number 6.
Okay, how come people voted here?
I know. You're supposed to vote yes.
Same thing.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so the public hearing is now open on this particular item. Are there any comments or
Seven.
questions at 7:11?
Is Tesoro Group here?
No, but we do have Dr. Harless is here tonight as well. He is the consultant for the MITC, and he'll be explaining this once that item comes up next. Okay, hearing no public comment, I'm going to move to close the public hearing also at 7:11. Mr. Clerk, please.
And
take
second
the
by
roll.
me.
I'll make the motion, seconded by Clerk Forva. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Forba, yes. Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart. Motion carries. The hearing is closed.
All righty, take care of that. All right, item E2. This is amendment number 6 to the MITC Parcel 13 Brownfield Redevelopment Plan for Verita Telecommunications, the Tesoro Property Group LLC. This is MITC Parcel 9. So, Jeremy, if you could move over there to that. So this is, I believe, our second, maybe our third amendment to the Brownfield Plan for the MITC this year. This is a facility called Verita Telecommunications. They do above and below ground installation of fiber optic wires. They employ, don't know if we have that here or not, but I think they've probably got at least 300 employees at this point. And they are currently based in Plymouth Township on 5 Mile, but they are in a very older, stacked up facility, and they're running out of space. They're also scattered. They also have offices in Novi and I think Farmington Hills as well. And so they're looking to consolidate all of their facilities. So this building has not been built yet, and it will be in Northville Township, and it'll be roughly the northwest corner of Ridge Road and 5 Mile. I'll have Dr. Harless talk a little bit more about this, and I've outlined a lot of the other information here in my cover memo. And again, as with other MITC projects, we are approving a brownfield plan for a project in Northville Township, as this site is part of the MITC Brownfield Authority. Per state law, we are one of the 2 governing bodies of MITC, must approve the plan along with Northville Township, who has already approved the plan. And again, we are always following the parcel 13. Why is it always parcel 13? Because parcel 13 was the original parcel at the southeast corner of Ridge Road and 5. That was the very first parcel that was admitted into the MITC Brownfield Plan. And actually, that was the original site for Verita, but they're growing so fast that they are now they need more space. So they went across the street, unfortunately. But parcel 13 is sort of the touchstone, the home amendment for all of the other originating plans for the MITC development zone. And as a result, all future amendments are amendments to the original parcel 13. So that's why there's always I always get a lot of questions about that. Otherwise, I'm going to have Dr. Harless come forward and fill us in on some of the other financials and other information relative to the brownfield
Good
plan.
evening, James Harless, Brownfield Consultant for MITC. As Chair Heisey said, the project before us is the Veritas Communications, Telecommunications headquarters. It's going to be on a 15-acre parcel immediately adjoining the current parcel where the new Northville Lumber development is. So it'll front on 5 Mile. Its capital investment will be about $11.7 million. It'll be a 40,000 square foot building, which will have both a combination of office and warehouse space, and then a lot of external storage space for their equipment and material for their installation programs. The eligible activities that we're looking to reimburse will be about $1,966,000 with a reimbursement period of about 21 years under the current estimates of tax capture. Any questions?
Yes. How much outdoor storage are they having?
It's 15 acres. They've got a 40,000 square foot building. I don't know exactly how much they're dedicating to outside storage in that area, but obviously it could be a number of acres.
Okay, I guess that doesn't look good, but outdoor storage isn't something in Plymouth Township we like. So apparently Northville likes it. All right. Okay. I know I had another question, but I can't figure out what it is.
Okay, any other questions from board members or Bob? Okay.
No, thank you.
Chuck, any other questions?
No.
Okay. I move to adopt Resolution 2024-08-27-46, authorizing approval of the Brownfield Plan Amendment Number 6 to the MITC Parcel 13 Brownfield Redevelopment Plan for Veritas Telecommunications, Tesoro Property Group, LLC, MITC Parcel 9. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Clerk Vorba. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart. Yes. Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Harless, and we'll see you soon. Next is the presentation and resolution. I saw Chief Connolly come in, and I think he is
Yeah, he's
just.
disposed
Yes.
right now.
Yeah, let's just
Okay.
continue with
No,
this.
no, I wanted to get Aaron out of here, so.
That's what I
This
said,
is the,
continue with this one,
okay.
Watua.
Okay,
right?
yeah, yeah. So we're moving on to the next agenda item, which is the Watua presentation and resolution to approve the Western Township's Utilities Authority budget for 2024-25. With us tonight is Aaron Sprague. He is the Executive Director of the Western Township's Utilities Authority, which manages the sewer system for Plymouth, Canton, and Northville Townships.
Good evening. It's been a
Speak
couple
up,
years.
you gotta
since-
speak up.
It's been a couple years since I've been here. I apologize for not being Suzanne tonight. Past couple years, her presence had been requested. I'm here tonight to present the WTOA proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25. This budget was prepared by staff. It was reviewed by the WTOA Finance Committee, which includes the finance directors of each of our three member communities. It was subsequently reviewed by the WTOA board at a study session and has already been approved by the Canton and Northville Township boards, as well as the WTOA board contingent upon Plymouth Township's approval tonight. We have a departmental budget, which means if you look at page 1, that's the actual budget that is being approved. The subsequent pages are used as backup to develop page 1, and they're used by staff and the board to track expenditures throughout the year, but page 1 is the actual budget document that is being approved. Unfortunately, I'm here with a much greater increase than I'm used to presenting. We've had a number of good years of far below expected increases, below inflation. This year, unfortunately, it's higher. About 85% of the increase is due to increases in wastewater treatment charges that we pay to YCUA for treatment of wastewater. There are really three primary reasons for that increase, and the biggest and most fundamental is that we've been undercharged by YCUA for a number of years, and that error was found by YCUA, and this budget is correcting for that undercharging. We have a pretty good contract with YCUA where we pay an actual percentage of their total cost based on our actual percentage of flow. And for a number of years, since about 2019, they had undercalculated our percentage at about 49%. We're at about 53%. So the good news is we're not looking at arrears. We're just looking at moving forward. The bad news is it's not good for this year. The other two issues really are they did identify a couple of significant capital repairs that are needed on some original equipment that was not touched during the last expansion. They went to do some everyday repairs and found that the equipment was in rather bad shape, and that will likely be impacting us for the next 2 years. It's the primary clarifiers, the central structure is corroded after 30-plus years in wastewater. And the third issue, the third reason really is that Suzanne and I have been very conservative in developing this year's budget. We don't want to go, we don't like going over budget. About 72% of our budget is wastewater treatment charges.
Okay.
Those are, we estimate what those charges are going to be. We don't know how much flow we're actually going to generate, and it's heavily dependent on how wet or dry, especially the spring is, but the year in general. So since it's such a significant component of our budget, we've been conservative in estimating what those costs will be. I would like to point out that the budgeted amount for wastewater treatment charges of $9.2 million is still $3.1 million less than we were paying in 2017 before we left the Wayne County system. So it's still significantly lower than what we paid historically. It's just elevated this year.
And
So Aaron, how was that mistake discovered, and what did they do when they discovered it, that they had been undercharging YCUA?
ICUA discovered the error last year. They didn't really know what I don't think they immediately were able to grasp what the cause of that error was. But the long and the short of it is they discovered the error before the 22 fiscal year was closed. So the shortage of funds for 22 and 23 were both borne by WTUA and its communities in the current fiscal year.
Right.
So they didn't try to come and recoup the undercharge?
They did not try to recoup any of the undercharge for the years 2019, 20, or 21. Because 22 had not yet been closed before the error was discovered. Annually, YCOA does a calculation that we call a look-back calculation. So they calculate what their actual costs were, what the actual flow split was, and how much money WTUA paid to YCOA. So annually we get, it's very similar to your IRS check or a check to or from the IRS in April. If we have overpaid during a given year, they owe us money and give us a check, and if we've underpaid, we issue a check to them. It was during those calculations that the shortage was discovered, and so we basically spread the shortage for that year and accommodated the increased cost for the current fiscal year and this current fiscal year.
okay.
So there were no arrears in the look back that we're paying for? They absorbed 100% of it?
For 2019, 20, and 21, yes.
Okay, so there's arrears for 22 and 23.
Not in this budget, but yes. Because the 2022 look back had not yet occurred when the calculation error was discovered.
When will Plymouth Township be paying the 22 and 23, or have we already?
You already have.
You already have.
In last year's budget?
Yes.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
the go forward impact of this is that our costs are going to be higher. Our run rate costs on a go forward basis are going to be higher because of this.
Correct.
So the percentage, go ahead.
So go ahead, Chuck.
No, you're up, Bob.
So Aaron, if I understand this right, the long-term impact is that our costs going forward, from a run rate perspective, will be higher. So that's what's impacted the 11% increase, but that's not a one-time thing. We're going to expect that, if everything stays the same, flows stay the same, we would expect to pay at the higher rate, over the next years.
I do believe that the 9.2 million that we have budgeted for sewer treatment charges is conservative. But I do agree with you that we will be paying more going forward than we have been in years past.
So the rate will be higher.
Yes.
The rate will be higher. So get back to, you gave 2 percentage numbers of the error. What were they? You already said them.
Yes, we are approximately 53% of the flow in YCUA.
Okay.
Their calculation came in at around 49%.
All right, so they charged us
Their
for,
erroneous calculation was coming in at about 49%.
so YCUA charged Watua for 49% and it should have been 53.
Correct.
So that means they overcharged the other communities. So why aren't they transferring that money to pay for this shortfall? Because that means they rebated the money to somebody else. Why isn't that coming to Watua?
The bearer of the shortfall was primarily Ypsilanti Township and Ypsilanti City, the YCUA itself. They do have other contract customers, but none are nearly as significant as WTUA or YCUA itself.
So you appear to be saying that they didn't want to bear it and they put it on us? Because
No.
Why didn't they collect rebate from the people that were undercharged or overcharged? Why didn't they take that money and then divert it to our undercharge to offset it? Because you have to have 100% of the total cost has to be covered, right?
Yes.
So that it was just a misallocation. It's not that
Yes.
they didn't collect the money. So where did the money go?
Money,
The YCUA overcharged by the other communities. They overpaid and we underpaid.
yes, YCUA had to bear that cost.
They're one and the same, aren't they? YCA
Wait a minute.
and Ypsilanti
This doesn't make
Township.
sense.
It does.
Hold on. I'm trying to understand this.
Our contract specifies that once the look back is closed,
It's done.
it's done. So the look back was closed, the error was theirs. They can't and have not tried to come after us for that shortage.
No,
So
that's
they
not
had
what I'm
to-
saying, is that they didn't rebate the communities that overpaid.
They are essentially the communities that overpaid.
They are. They're the same
They are
thing.
the one and the same.
Okay, so that rebate should have gone to defraying the Watua
No,
undercharge. Because if you have $1 million, let's say $100, and we overpaid or underpaid at 49, and the other ones, you just reallocate it. Maybe I don't,
Yeah, but
no.
well, wait,
Bob,
before we say no, I want to understand it.
Well, Bob, why don't you chime in?
yeah, what you're asking is what are they doing? What is YCUA doing with their other communities, which are primarily Ypsilanti Township, and that's not within the scope of this discussion. We don't oversee YCUA's budget. If one of their communities was overcharged, that's up to them to go collect it. It's not our job. We're Watua.
I understand that, but the way this is coming out is they're collecting more now because they overcharged the other communities and kept the money. No.
Going forward, they're going to charge us more money.
No, I'm not talking about going forward. I'm talking about the mistake.
Yeah.
They ate them.
All right,
we don't know
so
that.
they're just going to absorb everything
They're
for
eating.
22 and 23?
Yes.
Uh,
No, for
No, we
22
paid.
and 23, we made up the difference.
Chuck, your question is you're asking us to speculate on how YTUA compensated the communities or the entities that it overcharged, and how would we know? We're not YCUA, we're Watua.
And it is.
We have no
No,
idea.
but if they collected more money from somebody else, it was misallocated, it should be allocated correctly, and we should get
No,
we should,
No, we got a break because we
well,
should
not
have been
we
in
get it, not we get it, but they would have less of a claim on Watua because they were made whole by the overcharge of the other communities. Get what I mean?
But
'Cause
you-
you
It
have
it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work on your own personal taxes either. If Jerry pays more, you're not gonna get
yeah,
a cut of his.
yeah.
No, this isn't taxes, this is a business they're running. And they're allocating costs based on member.
I think the maybe disconnect is, for 22 and 23, we made up the short payment. So there was no short payment by WTUA. And there was no overpayment by the other contract communities because the years had not been closed. For 19, 20, and 21, there was an underpayment by WTUA, but those years were closed. So there was no recourse for Yucca or WTUA or the other communities for any overcharge or undercharge that occurred.
All right, I see. Okay,
You're getting way off. You're getting way off track.
Okay.
Because we got a benefit out of it by not being charged what we should have been in 2019, 20, and 21. Whether another community or YCUA itself absorbed that is it's not in our scope. We're buying services from YCUA,
Okay.
and we were undercharged for the services we were buying, which is the flows, and now we're going to be charged properly. But it's not in our scope.
Bob, no, you're absolutely right. And Bob has been working very closely with Aaron and his financial staff now for well over a year on this matter. So this is really nobody likes to pay more, but it could have been a lot worse for us. And that's the thing that we have to remember. So they are eating those 3 years of cost. And then, of course, how they handle their other customers is, I mean, we have no authority over that. Any other questions on this matter?
yes, well, not this matter. This is an operational one.
Yes.
How many hours does the generator run in a wet weather event without a delivery of diesel fuel?
Typically, it depends on what our load is, anywhere.
A wet
between-
weather event.
Right, but
That's
different
a high
wet weather
load.
events have different. I would say at a minimum 18 hours, anywhere up to about a day and a half.
Okay, all set? I'll need a motion on this.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk?
I move that the Board of Trustees approve Resolution 2024-08-27-47, adopting the 2024-25 Watua budget per the recommendation of Watua Executive Director.
Okay, motion is
Second.
made by Clerk Forvis, seconded by Trustee Monahan. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Clerk Forba, yes, motion carries.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks for all the work that you do for us. You do a great job. It's been a pleasure working with you. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to bring up the fire chief. And we're going to go back to item 2F from the consent agenda. This is regarding the purchase of the 2024 or newer Ward Apparatus 9-foot Super Squad Fire Department Utility Vehicle. I love the fact that the word super is in there, because it's just not a squad fire
not a squad,
department.
it's a super squad.
It's super, I just love that. Okay, so Trustee Kermy had some questions about that, and I'm gonna hand it over to him.
Okay, you know what the question's going to be, because we talked about it.
Yeah, this is a custom-built fire apparatus. That's why
Well,
it's
you
so
have an
expensive.
F-Series chassis, which, let's say, let's say it costs $80,000. The storage box with no pumpers is costing twice as much of what the vehicle with the engine and transmission and body.
Yes, and it has
And I'm trying to
this
understand
has
that.
specialty lights on it. It has a scene light on it. It has a traffic director light on it because we're on the freeways all the time and that's the most dangerous thing we do. It's gonna direct traffic off us. The box, it's not just a box. This is a custom aluminum box. It's aluminum too, so that brings the price
It
up.
costs $170,000, the box.
Yes. The chassis, the box typically costs more than the chassis on these things. Our ambulance, the box costs more than the chassis.
So how many other different designs did you consider?
Several. We looked at the pickup truck design, we looked at a Suburban design, and those won't work for us. This is the best thing we determined that would work for us, because instead of putting a pickup truck with a topper on it like a lot of other departments run, and I've seen this, I've been in the business for almost like 35 years, stuff falls in there, it's just not optimal. It's stored in the back. This gives us better storage, and the way we run with the lean operation we need the stuff right at our fingertips and be able to store the stuff handily. We're gonna be storing the equipment that we wanna try to take off the bigger apparatus and stuff we don't necessarily use every day. Stuff that the battalion chiefs will be using command scenes on, so all their command materials. And the additional, eventually this vehicle may be licensed either a BLS or ALS level. So we can provide life support off it as well. It provides us that
I
capability.
mean, if you put a different box on it.
No. No, they won't be able to transport, but we can still provide that care.
Oh, so this has the connections for oxygen?
No, it wouldn't have oxygen, but it would let us put the monitor on it, it would let us put the drug box on it, we can store it in it, that's why it's better suited for that than say a pickup truck or a utility truck.
Okay, any other questions on this item?
Mr. Supervisor.
Yep.
I move for the approval of the purchase of the 2024 or newer ward apparatus 9-foot super squad fire department utility vehicle, resolution number 2024-08-27-44.
I think we need to look at the model resolution, Jerry.
Okay. Let me pull
We
that
can
up.
read it right off the thing,
Yeah,
right?
right,
Do it?
right
Yeah,
there.
go ahead.
I
I'm
move
sorry.
that the Board of Trustees does hereby adopt Resolution 2024-08-2744 to award the fire department utility vehicle purchase to R&R Fire Truck Repair, Inc. For a 2024 or newer ward apparatus 9-foot super squad fire department utility vehicle for a cost not to exceed $239,354. And I just passed the eye exam, so.
I was gonna say, you certainly did.
Support.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Okay, Supervisor Heising.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart. Yes. Motion carries.
Okay, very good, thank you. Let's see, we're gonna move back now to the regular agenda. This is now item 4, program costs for the 2023 sidewalk replacement program. Bob Dorchevitz, Treasurer Dorchevitz is on the line, and then Jeremy Schroed, our township engineer, is here as well. I'm gonna hand it over. Let's start with Bob, okay?
Maybe we start with Jeremy. Well, let me introduce what what the proposal is tonight. So what happened was that in the 23 sidewalk replacement program, which we're now ready to bill out, there was delay given the fact that the contractor didn't complete the work until this year. The assessments were based on an estimated cost that included the administrative, what we call the soft costs, which were included administrative, engineering, survey, stuff like that. So what we've done with this program in the past was we gave residents an opportunity to opt out. And if they opted out and they handled the replacement themselves, then there was no charge from the township. So in past years, in 2 previous years of the program, the opt-out was like 5 to 7%. But last year, it appears a number of residents banded together, and about 30% of them opted out and hired their own contractor. Well, the problem with that is that we had no mechanism to pass on the soft cost to those people that opted out. So that puts us in a position where we have to recover that money somehow. And do we charge the people that stayed in more than their fair share because they didn't opt out, and so they're taking a larger share of the soft costs? Or there's a couple of different ways we can approach this, and what we had proposed was splitting the difference between those that were in and having the township absorb the difference. Jeremy's updated the numbers since this was published, and he can get into that a little bit. But the problem we have was that I think there was a loophole in the program that this group of residents exploited, and that is that if you didn't use the township to do the replacement and you hired your own contractor, you could get all of the preliminary work done. You got it done, the survey and the identification of slabs and all that stuff, without having to pay anything. And that's something we're going to have to correct going forward, but that doesn't help us this year. So the question this year is, where do we absorb those costs? And Jeremy, I'll turn it over to you because you got more details on the current numbers.
Yeah, thanks. So just in general, the way the program works is we go out and assess, identify all the locations where sidewalk flags are needing replacement. We assign a value to those. A lot of times it's a 5x5 flag, 25 square feet total. That's not actually what gets charged to the resident. The resident gets charged for exactly the size of the sidewalk that comes out. So when we build these unit prices, we're building unit prices based on bids that we've gotten from contractors, what we know we've spent in the program thus far, which is the assessments, the letters, the public notices, and then we're estimating how much time it's going to take to get through construction and the administration of the program. What happens as you move through the program is those quantities change, right? Everything is based off of a unit price, which is based off a set quantity. So we have to fluff those numbers, build those up bigger to ideally cover the overall costs within the program unit price shown. Well, in the past, I think as Bob alluded to, we've assumed that between 5 and 7% are going to pull out of the program. That's what we've seen historically in the first few years of the program. This year, quite a few more opted out. And I think you can see, it's hard to see in this photo, but everything that's orange are folks who opted out of the program, and everything that's purple are those who remained in the program. That's a little bit better. That's roughly 50% of that neighborhood opted out. So that's a number of soft costs that were still implemented and still utilized that then we now have to make up for on the back end. So it's just an aberration based on previous programs.
So Jeremy, in the future, it would be a prudent policy change to address this issue, because we certainly don't want to do a look back. We don't want to have to revisit this issue anymore. But in this particular case, the township is basically fronting the cost of engineering for those parcels that opted out. We're not going to bill those individuals, and we're not going to try to claw that money back. But it is definitely something that we have to look at in the future, if you intend to maintain a sidewalk replacement program. I'm not a big fan of it because it's a bureaucratic nightmare for staff. I know your office and the treasurer's office bear the brunt of those issues. But I will also point out that we are paying, even though we are paying $36,000+ this year, we've probably been sued at least twice this year for sidewalk slip and fall cases. I think maybe, I don't know, Kevin, at least twice, maybe 3. And so we, the township, not the residents, but we, the township, have to bear the cost of that litigation and the settlements for those damages, which I'm sure will far exceed $36,000. And not only that, we don't want to see people get hurt either. And in some of these cases, we've had some people with some pretty nasty injuries, and we don't want to see that happen in the community either. So the sidewalk program, while it is it's an administrative challenge, it is still a good program to have, and it does limit our liability, and it improves our quality of life. So even though we don't like paying this amount, just bear in mind that you pay me now or pay me later, and have people get hurt in the process. So I'm going to certainly recommend that we approve this amount tonight. And any other questions for Jeremy?
I have a couple questions. Go ahead.
You go first.
Okay.
And hang on. Let me add one thing. Jeremy, you recalculated what the township share of this would be to absorb?
Yeah, there's quite a few different scenarios that you can look at. You can look at what would the cost be if the residents absorbed all of it? What would it be to absorb 50/50? What would it be to absorb it at the current
Yeah.
rates? I think part of what's included in this 36,000 is actually some water and sewer funds that the township's going to pay either way. It just happened to be tied in with the program costs. Because what we do through the sidewalk replacement program, that's the time when we have a contractor on staff who can do concrete removal and replacement. We take care of all of the sewer lead issues, the water lead issues, the water main breaks that we can't afford to hire a contractor for a one-off replacement program. We add those costs into this and then pay for the engineering and soft costs separately.
But then we reimburse out of the water, we reimburse the SAD fund out of the water and sewer fund for those ones.
Correct.
And so that came out to, I think, 14,000 this year. So I think you said 14,000 earlier. So this 36 would actually drop down to 22. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So
So we're talking about splitting the difference with the homeowners, and the township share would be 22,000. The impact on the parcels that are remaining in the program is what? It's like $1.50 or something.
Yeah, there's not a huge difference. So when I originally calculated this, I calculated on 50/50 based on total program costs, not realizing the water and sewer was in that. So when I removed the water and sewer and recalculated it at 50/50, it's a difference of $12.09 a square feet versus $11.87. I mean, it's a $1.50 average per property.
So if I can understand the program, we hire the engineering firm to go out and assess everything that needs to be done. So everybody, whether they are doing it themselves or we're doing it, is benefiting from that cost. Is benefiting, there's a benefit to them to know that, yes, this has to be done, no, that doesn't have to be done. And so what we're doing now, if I'm understanding this correct, is those people who have done the work themselves are not paying their fair share of that cost, and that cost is being borne additionally by us and the people who did use the services are being charged more than they would have but for this situation. So the people who use the township are being charged more than the people who didn't use it. But there was a benefit bestowed on them by the engineering that was done. So I don't think I don't think that's fair to charge the people who use the township service more money because of this deficiency. If anything, the township eat all of it because we failed to have contractually this decided. Although if you bestow a benefit on someone, I mean, if you talk about just simple contract law, I mean, if we're entitled, and the other people are entitled to quantum merit, or if you were to look at it as partial performance, that the contract was complete and they owe the money. So my position is, if you're talking about eating this cost, we should eat all of it, not put half of it on us, which is the general taxpayers, and the other half on the people who actually use the township services. So they're being charged more for a service that is not equal.
Well, Jerry, you're absolutely right. However, when the sticking point that we're in, as I think you understand, is that when the program was launched and the communication was sent out, we never put them on notice that if they opted out of the program that they might get charged. But we still, what do you think of the option of billing those that opted out? We really have four options. We can either, the township can absorb it all, we can split it 50/50, we can charge those that opted out their share of the engineering, and I forgot what's the fourth option, Jeremy.
Well, equity would say, they received a benefit, whether they wanted their sidewalks done or not.
But I do think they should have been notified of that from the get-go.
But, no, it's done as part of contract.
to
As
get
part-
an
as-
assessment
as-
at the
As part of
end is-
contract law, you know, if you're receiving a benefit, you owe something, you know, so whether it's quantum merit or in partial performance, you've engaged in a contract. And so, I think in this instance, and only in this instance, the township should eat all of it, not charge the people who use the township services more money than they would be charged, but for these people opting out.
We'd have to.
Yeah.
We'd also have to change the program guide, because the original sidewalk program guide does talk about people opting out, and it does talk about no fee permits. So those are things that we would have to change in order to go that
You've
route.
got to change your policy for the future.
Yeah.
Because I'm concerned that then you'll have residents from the past are going to say, well,
Right.
now what about me?
Yep.
So we gotta pay the piper now, but in the future, you gotta have a policy in place to address this kind of issue.
Okay, so unfortunately, the alternatives are not laid out on a piece of paper with the numbers. You may have them, but they're not in front of us. So if the Plymouth Township absorbs all of these administrative overruns, how much is going to the water department and how much is going to the sidewalk fund? I don't want it to go in the general fund, sidewalk fund. Sidewalk, so how much, what are the numbers?
59,000 would go to the sidewalk fund, 14,000 would go to the water and sewer fund. 14,000 is on automatic. 'cause
15
that's
plus 59?
14 plus 59.
14 plus 15. Why does this number, what is this 37,000 number?
That was the old number.
They're round numbers.
Oh, this is not an accurate
That's-
number.
The total, wait, it is an accurate number. The total number is 73, and this was half of 73, but what he hadn't backed out before was the 14,000. So the total number is correct. What's different is that the total cost that would have to be absorbed by the sidewalk fund is 59,000, not all 73, because water and sewer is going to pay 14 of it. So if we want to eat the 59,000, if that's the, you know, preference of the board tonight, then that's our simple change we need to make.
So it's 59,000 sidewalk fund, 14,000 water and sewer fund.
Yeah, it's
The water and sewer,
$59,323.
regardless,
And does that,
regardless of what we, regardless of what we do tonight, the water and sewer fund is going to get charged the 14,000. Because that was for, things that were associated with water and sewer, issues, that wasn't backed out before. So the number, regardless of what we do tonight, the water and sewer fund will get charged the 14,000. The question is, with the remaining 59, do we charge the residents or do we eat it? And it seems to be, there's a consensus that we eat it.
yeah, I think the consensus is that the township unfortunately is going to absorb this, but are we sure that the water and sewer fund is getting billed for the flags where there was a structure? Is that in the 14,000?
Yes.
In other words, a manhole,
Yes,
we don't charge the resident when there's a damage to a manhole flag?
correct.
Is that in you're certain?
Yes.
It's in the 14?
Yeah, because we actually have that as a separate item through the contractor's payment too. And the only thing that we pulled out was what the soft cost and engineering side of that was. So the total, that 36,851.87 there, if you double that, that's 73,703.74. The water and sewer portion is 14,380. The remaining is $59,323.74.
Okay.
So that's what the motion should have, that number, the 59,000 and change.
Yeah, how much was it? 59,000 what?
59,323 and 74 cents.
74 cents, okay.
Wow, down to, okay.
Okay,
So I have,
What are we doing to the motion now?
We're going to change that amount from 36 whatever to 59,323 if it passes.
and it needs to say sidewalk fund. What is the right name of our fund for sidewalks, Bob?
I don't think it is a fund.
There is a
Part
fund.
of the,
It's
it's
the,
part of the SAD. It's part of the Special Assessment District
Yeah.
Fund. It's considered an SAD.
well, wait a
in
minute.
account-
Hold on. I wanted to,
Legally, but accounting.
that's not the sidewalk fund I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one that developers pay into.
That's different, I think.
That's the one I wanted to come out of. It's called the,
That's an escrow
I'd
fund.
have to check with Liz on that.
I don't want it
I
to
know
be
what
put
you're
into
talking
SAD because the SAD will never be paid off.
Right.
It's the
Right.
township. It's whatever that thing that the developers pour all that money into when they do
Okay.
in lieu
I need
of,
to-
payment in lieu of.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I need to check with Liz. Okay.
Okay, now I have just a couple of comments going forward for next year. Number one, let's get started early, the quotes, because it looks like we're going to have to rearrange some of this. And it appears that economics are having an effect. The reason why people are opting out is because prices are too high, they can beat it, and administration costs are too high. So that's something that Spalding to Decker needs to reduce. At 25% of the cost of the sidewalk is engineering and administration. In my opinion, that's way too high. So I realize you have high costs, but we need to figure out something different, the number of inspection days, something to reduce that climbing administrative cost. And I know people like to say, it's 2024, let's pay the high prices. But as long as you continue to pay the high price, they'll continue to ask it. And you're one of our suppliers that I'm asking to lower your cost.
All right, any
Well,
other, Bob, any,
I'll just-
okay, Bob, I think you've been given some direction, but I'm still concerned about the motion. Who's going to do this motion? And what's it gonna say?
We got the number, right?
Yeah, the 59,000. I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I move to adopt resolution 2024-08-27-48, authorizing the Board of Trustees to approve final assessment rolls and authorize $59,323.74 in township paid program expenses for the sidewalk program.
Okay,
Second.
Clerk has made the motion, and Bob, is that a second?
Yes, it is.
Did you say, what do you call the fund at the
I just
end?
call it sidewalk program. I don't know what else to call it, other than,
We don't want people to think it's the sidewalk SAD program.
no. But whatever that program you're talking about, and I understand what you're saying, I just don't know what it's called.
Sidewalk payment in lieu escrow.
Sidewalk paid in lieu of escrow, okay. Change it
Okay,
to
so
that.
that's all gonna be in the motion.
Yes.
And we'll clean that up at the appropriate time. So, motion's been made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a sec? Bob, you want to second that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
All righty, then, Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Stewart? Yes. Trustee Monahan?
Yes.
Trustee Buckley?
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey?
Yes.
Trustee Kermy?
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz?
Yes.
Motion carries, thank you.
Okay, and Bob, just a note that I know you're doing a really good job tonight, but sometimes we do get some reverberation and some feedback, so just bear in mind. Okay, but otherwise, you're doing great. Otherwise, we're gonna move on to item 5. This is the 5 Mile Road Tank Overcoat Project, and we have Pat Felrath here. Is Mr. Dixon here from Dixon Engineering?
Yes, Mr. Tom Rollins from Dixon.
Okay, well, why don't you just come up and sit here in the front row? Come on, Mr. Dixon, and then sit up here in the front row, just in case we get any questions. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but Mr. Felrath knows this project very well, and I'm gonna turn the floor over to him.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, members of the board. Before you tonight is a contract award recommendation for the, it's basically for the 5 Mile Road elevated water tank. We have a 1 million gallon water tank, as all you are aware of, just west of the Home Depot site. That tank was originally painted in the year 2007, and it is time now to provide an overcoat, which is another paint that goes over the original paint to protect the original paint. It's been 17 years, as I stated in the board packet, and this is based on really the professional recommendation of our maintenance contractor for the elevated water tanks from Dixon Engineering. Mr. Tom Rounds is here. The overcoat can be expected to last roughly 15 years, and you can typically overcoat a tank 2 times before you have to abrasive blast. I remember Mr. Ira Gaben telling me this. Before you have to abrasive blast the entire tank and do another original paint job.
Okay.
So this this contract, we went out for bids to, and this is primarily the primary scope of work, is the painting of the 5-mile road elevated water tank. We do have some miscellaneous repairs also for both tanks, including the Lake Point elevated water tank. In particular, some safety handrails that need to be installed on the roof of that tank. That tank is much older, 1955, thereabouts. So there's a lot of safety updates and compliance with the state that need to be done. That was also included in this project. So.
Okay, so Patrick, items 5 and 6 are related.
Yes,
So
they're related.
So just tell us what's the correlation between those two?
Okay, so this item is for the award of the contract, the painting contractor, the actual person that's going to do the work, the painting and the miscellaneous repairs. The second item on the agenda is for the assistance of our maintenance contractor, Dixon Engineering, to administer the contract and to perform field observation of all the paint and the welding and the administration of the contract and all. Speaking of which, I just want to point out in that second item that we get to, the contract administration with Dixon Engineering, I do have an updated proposal from Dixon Engineering with a reduced cost.
This is E6.
Correct, and we can get to that when we get to that item, but I do have a updated proposed agreement with Dixon Engineering that is less in cost for the project.
Is that in our agenda tonight, or what?
Yeah.
I mean, the revised.
The 70,000
It's-
numbers.
The revised
Yeah,
number.
Yeah, instead of 70,000, it's more in the 52,000. I have an updated agreement, so we do have to make a tweak to the motion, or at least.
Okay, because I know I'm going back to E6 again, but the
Yes.
model resolution does not have a price.
Doesn't have a price.
No,
So-
it doesn't, because it's gonna be billed, there's, on the
We can do,
description.
but we
there's
can
a-
do an amount, can we do an amount not to exceed in item
I think we
E6?
can, yeah.
Yes.
But
Do you want to be, do
we'll just have to come back if there's an issue
you
and
want something
feel
more,
that.
you want something more flexible?
We're going to do
We
E5
can do a
first.
higher number?
Yes, I know. Let's do E5 first.
And I think that's a fine number. I was under the impression that we do this entire wet interior on.
Okay. Well, let's hold off on that. So, all right, I think we know what an overcoat is now and what it's going to cost. So any other questions for Patrick?
Yeah, I do. Also, you might want to get up here when I ask these questions. It's about the overcoat. Just tell us what the process is and what you're overcoating with.
The process is to pressure wash the entire tank and then to do spot repairs, perform spot repairs on the rusted or braided surfaces. And then they'll prime those areas, and then they'll apply a full coat of prime and 2 subsequent coats, one of epoxy and one of urethane, and then reapply the logo.
So the primer, it goes over the old finish coat.
Yes.
Do you have to, other than power wash, nothing else?
You have to
prep the surface.
You have to do the surface prep and any rusted or braided
but-
surfaces.
If there's no rust, all it is power wash on that surface.
There'll be some spots. They'll have to abrade and prime. And then they'll put a full prime coat on.
They're going to abrade in addition 100% of the surface?
The rusted.
Just the rusted areas, right?
Rusted areas,
Okay.
yeah. And then our role in this is to do inspections on their work, just make sure they're following specifications.
So what are the economics of doing nothing versus doing some preventative maintenance? Because there has to be a business case for this. If we spend this money.
Well, there is.
So I'd like to understand that. Is it, because that's how you make that
If you wait
decision.
another 5 years, it may degrade to a point where it's getting down into the epoxy coat, and you may have to take it all off. You may have to set up a containment and blast everything off. So these overcoats are preventative maintenance, so you don't have to do that.
What's the cost if you had to do the whole thing over again? Give me a ballpark figure.
That's the economics I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now you
For the
understand.
million-gallon tank, you're looking at a little less than $500,000 probably.
Okay, 500,000?
And we're spending 250 for this
To
preventative.
say
You're doing
15 years?
222,000, but that includes the repairs on the Lake Point tank too. So there's about $60,000 worth of weld repairs that some of them are upgrades for Eagle. Eagle has a bunch of upgrades, so.
So Dixon did the strip of the Lake Point tank years
That
ago.
was overcoated.
Well, they didn't have
9
strip
years ago.
to the
No.
bare metal.
No, that wasn't, that was an overcoat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You did say this is covering the part of 5 Mile from Northfield Road to Haggerty, or not?
No, it's just the tower.
Just the tower,
The tower.
Okay.
the water tower.
Water tower at Home Depot.
Water tower, that's it.
At Home Depot.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on item E5?
Mr. Supervisor,
Motion, yes, sir.
I move for the award of the contract for the 5 Mile Road Elevated Water Tank Overcoat Project to the low bidder, E&L Contractors, Inc.
Water
in-
tank.
in the
Okay.
amount of $222,800.
Okay, motion's made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Monahan. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey?
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Trustee Buckley?
Yes.
Trustee Kermy?
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Monahan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very good. Item E6, so we've talked about this a little bit already. So this is the professional services contract. I would recommend that we, in the motion, that we put, we should plug in some kind of number. Because
Not
we
greater
don't,
than.
because we don't have the hard copy backup tonight that we need for that particular vote. So I know he has it, but we don't. So we got to vote on what's in our agenda, not.
Yeah, I can submit for the board.
And and you can certainly do that, but let's.
Tell me a
let's-
number.
what's the number? Pat?
Okay, this will be the conservative estimate, we will say not to exceed at this point, $56,450.
Okay.
$56,450.
How about not to exceed 60?
It's pretty precision. Just
You
make
want
it
to say
round
not
to
to exceed
57. 57.
Okay.
I'm just telling you what's on the
How about
proposed
60?
agreement.
How, not to exceed
No,
60?
no.
57?
If you put it to 60, then it'll come up to 60.
All right.
Make it
you know,
57.
That's your opinion.
No,
Okay,
that's my
so-
knowledge.
So,
Let's just
you
do,
know,
let's
no,
do
it's not.
57.
Okay. Who wants to do the motion?
I will. I move for the approval of Dixon Engineering, Inc. to perform professional services for the 5 Mile Road Elevated Tank Overcoat Project as specified in the attached proposed agreement dated August 21st, 2024.
Excuse me.
As amended, not to exceed $57,000.
I think it should, because I got the latest agreement, it's dated October 27th.
Okay,
October 27th.
Yeah.
that's even better.
Okay,
Good.
thank you very much.
All right, so Clerk Vorba's made that motion. Is there a second?
Yes. Second.
Okay, second by Trustee Kermy. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Monahan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart? Treasurer Dorchevitz?
That's a yes.
Yeah.
Trustee Kermy?
Yes.
Trustee Buckley?
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Supervisor Heisey?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Did you get my yes?
Yes, I got
Yeah,
it.
we got it.
We got
You'd
it.
be kind enough, you'd be patient to let me answer.
We thought you said
I
yes.
heard
Okay,
you say-
I
I heard you
understand.
say
No,
yes.
my hearing is very acute for music.
Okay, I heard
Okay,
you say yes,
yeah.
sir. Okay. Item 7 then, we're going to move on then. So Bob and Patrick, don't go away. So this is the resolution to revise the water and sewer rate schedule effective September 1st. So who wants to go first, Patrick or Bob?
Well, Jeremy's got a presentation.
Oh, and Jeremy,
If you could Jeremy, if you could bring that up. I can't see it on the feed. Whoever's running the video, can you switch the feed over to the screen? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is the 24 to 25 water and sewer analysis. What I'll do is I'll run through these slides, and then, maybe we come back for questions. Let's see how it plays. So if you could, next slide, please. I think I have a short delay here on my end.
There's probably going to be a little bit of a delay.
I'm watching it on the YouTube feed. Okay. So water and sewer charges, this is a reminder of how this is calculated. We take an element of what the projected operating costs are for the year from GLWA, which is our wholesale water provider, formerly known as Detroit Water and Sewerage. We have Watua that we saw the presentation earlier tonight, which is sewerage and capital. And then we have overhead and infrastructure maintenance on the Plymouth Township side. So those three things are put in together. We project what the sales are going to look like, and we cover our costs. One of the challenges is that the fiscal years are staggered. So Great Lakes Water is July to June, Watua is September to August, and ours is the calendar year. So we see rate changes coming from GLWA mid-year and our mid of our fiscal year, and Watua at the end of our fiscal year. So it creates an additional challenge. So we fund debt and capital accrual. A reminder, one of the debts that we had funded, or the key debt we had funded, was the Watua expansion, which was paid off last year. So that has been removed off of the water bills. And then future infrastructure requirements. So this discussion is not about AMI tonight, but we can't not have at least a footnote on it because meters are end of life. Water mains, there's a run rate for sewer lining, and then water tower life cycle maintenance, which we just discussed. So the question is, how much cash should we have in reserves? And there is no magic number. You got to do that based on what you project your major investments are going to look like over the next 7 to 10 years, because there is no magic number. What is the right number? The only thing that we have to be cautious about is we don't have too much in reserves. So right now we have north of $20 million in our water and sewer fund in cash. So next slide, please.
There it is.
A little bit of a lag here, so.
Yeah, a little lag. What's the next slide start with? I can start talking.
Starts with key considerations.
Oh, okay. So Great Lakes Water increased their wholesale water rate by 3.04% this year, which is lower than it had been increased by in the previous 2 years. So we're back kind of on track. The Watua increase, one thing that Aaron didn't mention, the overall increase was 11.2%, but what the finance committee and the board of Watua agreed to do was to not add anything into the capital reserves this year because there's money there and there's no major projects coming up. So the overall increase is going to be 5.7%. I'm sorry, the increase without capital is 5.7%, but the overall increase was 11.2%. In 23, we made about $873,000 in interest income off of that money, and the projected demand from Great Lakes Water Authority has been flat for the last 2 years. There's not any significant growth areas. But the goal is to recover the cost and accumulate what is the proper surplus for the fund balance, and then we've talked about the meters. So our recommendation tonight is to increase rates by 5%, effective September 1st through August 31st of next year. And that'll bring down the total new cost per gallon of water will be 0.6 of a penny for a gallon of water and 0.5 cents for sewer, so 1.47 cents combined. So a 3.8 gallon flush would cost you about 4 cents. Okay, next slide, please.
So this is called historical retail rates.
Okay, so this slide shows what our increases have looked like, what our rates have been since 2016. Prior to that, there was a large increase when they were reconstructing the highway, but in 16 there was a reduction, and we had to make up for that in 17 because it put us underwater. But you can see, if you're reading from left to right, the year and the water sewer combined, and the increase that we passed along that year. And what's interesting is if you compare that to the consumer price index for that year, we did not pass along the inflation, but we held it down. The result of that was that we did grow our fund balance because of some offsets we had, but we did okay. And last year with 2% increase, we were able to basically break even. But we need to go to 5% this year. So next slide, please. So I think out of this last slide, one of the key points is that we've held rates down. Over the last 8 years, we've done a fantastic job keeping the rates down.
So what is the anticipated interest earned for 2024?
I'll come to that. It's in a later slide. So this is I'll just quickly hit this one. This shows our impact on fund balance and net position, which has been increasing since 17. Our current assets have doubled. So we're in good shape. Hit the next slide, please.
So this is called 2024-25 GLEWA rates.
Okay, so this is the Great Lakes Water Authority has different rates for each of its community based on a complex formula that I think Kurt understands, but I don't.
I wish.
And it's 60% fixed and 40% variable. So there's a guaranteed revenue stream to GLWA, irrespective of whether you use 1 drop of water. We have to pay a fixed cost of $260,800 per month. The variable cost is, and there's gyrations because they express it in terms of 1,000 cubic feet. So I do the conversion to what that means per gallon because people relate to that a little bit better. So they have 1.69 per 1,000 gallons, or 0.16 cents per gallon. So the estimated usage, they calculate what they expect our usage to be, and this is 1,000,000 gallons. So the total cost per 1,000 gallons is $4.23. So if you look to that, $4.23 per gallon, or 0.423 per each gallon. That 423 is per thousand. Next slide, please.
You don't mean per gallon, you mean
Per
$4.23 per 1,000 gallons.
That's why he has the
Correct.
3 zeros there.
Yeah.
So the next page is called 2024-25 WTUA rates, which we've already gone over with Aaron.
Okay, hit the slide. Hit it again. One more slide. We were going
So
over
the next slide is AMI.
Okay, so we have this looming issue that we've talked about, many times before. Where the AMI stands right now is that there's been an ongoing negotiation on the master services agreement and the scope of work, which are ready for legal review. The vendors held, the AMI consists of two pieces to it. One layer is the meter replacement, which our meters are approaching end of life. Their average age is more than 15 years. Patrick can explain what that means when they start to fail, or if they start to fail in large numbers. So we'll save that for his part. But the vendors held the pricing. The vendor is an integrator, and they have third-party content, which is the meters, and they've been able to hold that for over a year. We don't know how much longer they're going to hold that for. And if they separate out the two layers of replacement only of meters and layering on the AMI infrastructure, we're not going to get as good of a deal on the meters. So the difference between that and the AMI, but we'll talk about that at a later meeting. Because what our recommendation is to go ahead in September and issue the intent to bond. We don't have to go through with the bonding. We'll do the intent to bond, and that allow the 45-day clock to fix, and then we can leave the go-forward decision to the next board. Next slide.
Called break-even rate analysis.
Okay, so this is when we get into why 5%. Let me see.
I don't know what it's. Keep talking, Bob.
Yeah, is that the chart? Oh, okay. So this is the chart on the left is in your packet, and it's a summary, and it answers your question, Chuck, as to what we expect in interest and penalties. It's one of the line items in the green section. So that's in your packet. This is a summary of about 6 other spreadsheets that go into more detail. If you want to see them, you're welcome to it, but I think most people don't. What this break-even analysis table is telling you is that this is not this is an impact on fund balance, not on net cash position. So if we did no increase, we would lose $738,606, and that's a balance sheet item that is related to depreciation, the depreciation expense. So what we're saying here is that at a 5%, we'll see a drop in net cash position, but we won't. Overall net position, but not in cash. So that's not a loss in cash, if that makes sense. So this is the numbers behind the numbers.
So which
we
line?
could go as high as,
Which line is the interest?
let me see. I
It's
can't.
difficult to read in the packet. I didn't bring a magnifying glass.
Let me see. Do I have the packet here?
Jeremy, can you expand that screen a little bit?
It's in the green.
Green, the second from bottom.
So it's under revenue line, it's in that box, that big box somewhere?
Come in penalties.
Right here.
It's in the green section. It's the 5th line down. It says interest, income, and penalties $1 million, $1,024,000. That also includes the late fees and the penalties, 35% penalty, and all of that is.
Okay, so that number, that $1 million number was used in the calculation,
Correct.
not the 876 from the previous year. All right, that's what I wanted to
Right.
confirm. All right.
Yes, because that also includes penalties and stuff like that. So last year's budget, we did a little bit better in interest and penalties, and I think that was one of the impacts that it had. So I think that was the last slide.
Now, the rest, the next slide is
Oh,
average bills and then competitive neighboring communities.
okay. Just 1 second for me to catch up. Yeah, you can see this speaks for itself. It's not all apples to apples because not everybody charges it the same way. But it's normalized as much as you can. Did you change slides?
We're on average bills and impact.
Okay, I see the cursor moving around, but the slide on the screen didn't update on the YouTube. There it is. Okay, so this one, if we do the 5%, the average quarterly impact, this is average bills, not counting commercial. These are the residential. We have $47.29 per quarter is the average, so it would come out to be about $15 a month.
And this includes the sewer credit for the summer 3 months?
Yes, that's part of the formula.
Okay, any
So-
questions on, yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, go ahead. You can switch
No,
slides.
yeah, I just wonder if anybody had any questions on this, so.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
not. Okay, keep going. This is neighbors residential slide.
Yeah, this slide speaks for itself. Again, this is not it's not always apples to apples, so we have to do a little bit of tweaking to normalize it across there. Like Livonia charges per 7. Oh, she took Livonia off of this. Never mind. But this is what our neighbors are charging, and in the comparison, so we're kind of right in the ballpark.
What is our number if the 1093 moves to what if we go to 5%?
That is it.
Is that it? It said
It goes to 518, 1147.
1147, so that's not it, okay. So it goes up, and then, what did you say about Livonia? I did not hear.
I had Livonia on here, but it's not a direct comparison, so I took it off. I forgot I had done that. Livonia charges like by the 750 gallon, I don't know, they got some weird formula. So next slide.
Well, hold on, when you go away, what is this, minus 2.67? That means it's
City of Northville.
For Northville
Yeah,
City.
apparently they lowered their rates.
I'm saying again?
Lowered the rate.
Yeah. These are this year's changes. This comes from, Patrick, you may have a little bit more insight on that chart.
We're looking at the negative 2.67 under City of Northville. What does that mean?
They lowered their water rates, I guess.
Yeah, they lowered their rates. They had a bifurcated rate because City of Northville has they have a dual meter option. And I'm not sure how it works in detail. I just kind of read about it on their website. But basically, you can have a separate meter for irrigation, so you don't get charged sewage for it. And so it's a bifurcated formula, and it's not, again, it's not a direct comparison. These are normalized as much as we could. Try to make them compare. Next slide is recommendations and discussion. So the recommendation is to go for a 5% water and sewer rate increase, and discussion.
Okay, well, we've been having some discussion already, and I appreciate your work on this, Bob. It's very thorough, and I'm glad that you were able to give the presentation tonight, even by phone. So do we have any more questions?
Yes, what is
For Bob.
page 315? The next page. In the board packet.
302, you mean? or-
315 of 315.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. 315.
Well, that is that's the graph that we also brought
Oh,
up.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we printed that out as a separate page, because when I said it to your board packet, I wasn't talking about the eye chart. I was talking about the one pager.
Okay, so,
So this is the very last page in the board packet.
yeah.
So this is where you can see, if you look down and zoom it in a little, you can see the interest income and penalties in the green section on the fourth line down.
Yeah.
We've seen that. We zeroed in on it earlier, so this is just a rehash of that graphic.
Yeah.
And so this is the breakdown, basically, of costs.
This is the breakdown.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move to approve Resolution 2024-08-27-51, effective September 1st, 2024, to revise the Plymouth Township Comprehensive Fee Schedule to reflect a 5% water and sewer rate increase. The new water consumption rate will be $6.29 per gallon, and the new sewer disposal use rate will be $5.18 per 1,000 gallons.
Okay, motion's made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Buckley. Oh, or Bob, he put it all together.
Oh, she can do it.
No, we'll give it.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Or we're gonna fight over this,
Yeah,
I
let
hope
Bob
not.
do it.
Let Bob do it. Bob, you did all the work, so you should take the credit. So, second was.
I don't
by
know if
Bob.
I'd like to take credit for a water rate increase.
Okay, so, it was made by Vorba, seconded by Dorchevitz. Please
Okay.
call the roll.
Mr. Supervisor.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
No.
Trustee Stewart.
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Bob, again. And Patrick, wherever you are, you're in the back. Okay.
Bob, are you staying on? Because I will have some other questions at the end.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on.
Okay, public comment limited to 3 minutes.
Do you want me to sign in?
No, it's okay. We know who you are.
You know, okay.
Wendy Harless,
Wendy
Chair of the
Harless.
Historic District Commission.
Yep, I'm at 11677 Morgan Avenue, but I'm here tonight because at a planning commission meeting earlier this month, one of our neighbors, and I don't see her here, but she came and spoke about some information that she has found out online about MZY Investments, which, if you will recall, that is the company that purchased SPARS and is now currently suing the township. So what she discovered is Naji Kalala, who is one of the owners of MZY Investments, has many different companies, one of them being KB Maintenance. Well, it was KB Maintenance. They've changed their name to KB Landscaping and Snow Removal. They purchased 9 acres with 2 homes in Augusta Township. In 2020, Augusta Township informed them that they were performing business activities on the premises that were not conforming to the zoning, which the zoning is agricultural/residential. They sent them a cease and desist order. The courts sided with Augusta Township and told them they had to cease business, they had to demolish any structures that they had built. What they were doing was deemed to be an outdoor business, not agricultural business. They appealed and countersued, claiming an equal protection claim. They changed their name to KB Farms. I think they were trying to make it look like they were doing agricultural activities, but that were really doing an outdoor business. The courts denied their appeal, and also they could not produce any examples of other businesses that were, as they say, getting away with the same thing, that it was not discrimination. They could not produce even one example, and so the courts denied their claim for that. And so I want to quote Naji Kalala, who was, this quote appeared in the latest issue of The Rock. He said, "We're hoping to be able to use the land how we want," in reference to SPARS. So this seems to be their business practice, that they purchase land,
that is not conforming to the business activities that they would like to conduct. And then they try to strong arm their way into being able to do whatever they want to with the land. And so we are asking the township to not negotiate with them on this lawsuit. We feel that it's a frivolous lawsuit. They are saying that the township has devalued their property when in fact the township has not changed anything about their property. So how could they have caused a drop in the value? We are hoping that the township will move to dismiss this frivolous lawsuit and hold them to the zoning that they purchased with the land. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So just as an update, Kevin, I'm sure, has been taking close notes, but, the lawsuit was filed in July at some point, and, right now it's been handed over to our insurance attorney, and Matthew Zalewski, and then Kevin is the co-counsel on that case. So right now, it's still in the very early stages, and no motions have been filed or anything like that, so. Okay, anybody else? Carol?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Carol Suchuk. I live at 13094 Woodridge Circle in Plymouth Township. And I did have opportunity, I think it was last month, to introduce myself again, but I'd like to, new faces here tonight, so I'd like to do it again. I'm running for Wayne County Commissioner in District 9. District 9 services most of Plymouth Township, most of Livonia, and Northville City and Northville Township. I am running as a Democrat, and I'm running against the incumbent, Terry Meraki. And I have over 20 years of local government leadership experience and retired a few years ago as the director of the Plymouth District Library. So I'll be here this evening if anybody has any questions or wants to talk to me. I look forward to talking to you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, Mr. Clerk, Mr. Treasurer, Board of Trustees. I came here this evening to bring forth some concerns I have about one of the voting precincts at Risen Christ. And traditionally, when you go there to vote, we would use the east end of the building. And during the early voting, the 9 days or whatever it was, they're using the west end. We're currently using the west end of Risen Christ. And that doesn't seem to be suitable for early voting. When you measure the distance from the front door, the 100 feet out where you can campaign, it's already on public property. So the 100 feet ends up in the middle of the sidewalk, which I don't think is actually legal. I think legally we're supposed to be on the west end or the east end of the property. And I thought maybe the board could address that this evening or send Secretary of State over there to look this over. Because essentially, if you're campaigning, you're between the sidewalk and the street, or you're gonna have to be in the street somewhere. So how is it possible that we are using the west end of the building? Shouldn't we be using the east end?
I mean, we use the east end, Jerry, for election day.
For election day, correct.
So wouldn't it be easy just to keep it that way for early voting?
No, because the church has facilities that they use during those times. The other side was not being used, which is why we contracted.
Because it was during the week.
Right.
So because they use the facilities on the
But
weekend.
on Saturdays and Sundays, right, they have church services on there. And so this was the appropriate place to use. 100 foot is 100 foot regardless of where it's at. And it was still in between the road and the sidewalk where people could stand, and it was very safe.
Yeah, but that's outside the scope of the private property. It's on, you're actually, it measures out to the middle of the sidewalk. And that sidewalk is public property.
The statute is 100 foot, and that's set by the state of Michigan.
And it doesn't matter where
It
falls.
Doesn't matter where it falls. When you think about,
Could fall in the middle of a street.
It could
if
fall
you were in a city.
Yes, in the city. If you look at the east side, which is used during election day, again, it's at the sidewalk. The 100-foot goes all the way to the sidewalk on Ann Arbor Road, and it's always been there. 100 foot's 100 foot, yes.
Jerry, if you go on the east side, it's not, 100 feet doesn't go to the sidewalk.
Yes, it does.
If you do a radius.
From any direction, yeah, from any
No,
direction.
they measured it that one day, I didn't.
Yeah, I've measured it out, and.
We'll have to measure it again, but I saw them measure it, and it didn't go to the sidewalk.
It goes to the sidewalk.
And the east side.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, should we use a more suitable place?
Yeah.
In a
Or
different
real,
building?
or real close to it, so it's within a couple feet.
Okay, you guys can have that discussion
Sure.
some other time. Okay, anything else?
I have one more concern. Where Big Coffee is being put up, I live in Green Meadows, and I was concerned about there's an ingress, egress out to Marlow. And I'm kind of concerned why you wouldn't have the ingress, egress out to Ann Arbor Road.
You'd have to check with our planner on that one. It's been approved several times by the planning commission, so.
Sure.
The engineer is here, he might know too, you can ask him after the
Don't
meeting.
think he knows.
Why didn't we put up a wall to close off the street?
That was all arranged by the planning commission and the developer and the neighbors, and they've collaborated on that, so
It's gonna bring a lot of traffic.
that's your opinion. Okay, thank you.
I have a question, did we have public comments in the beginning? Or did
No.
we deleted them this time?
Yeah, busy meeting.
So that's a new, okay. That's just for this meeting?
Just for this meeting.
No, I don't know about that. We'll see.
Or you might change it?
Maybe.
Oh, all right.
Good evening. Howard Hemrick, 10306 Normandy Drive, Plymouth Township, longtime resident. I would suggest that this board take a very careful look on creating a moratorium on any further development until we can get some substantive, well-thought-out process that can be consistent with a master plan. If that master plan needs to be reevaluated, it should be done so, and any future development should be halted until such time as we look at the impact to the township residents, both in relationship to the utilities, the services, as well as the traffic and the infrastructure that cannot support this type of uncontrolled development. I further suggest that the development director be given some specific guidelines on what types of developments we, as the residents of this township and taxpayers, would like to see. There seems to be this hell-bent attitude towards moving towards filling every square inch of green space into some kind of concrete structure. And I would suggest strongly that the board, the current board in particular, and any future boards take a look at this kind of development process and strategy and make it clearly consistent with the desires of the residents of this community. Thank you for your time.
You all set? Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Sherry Underwood. I live at 9048 Rocker Avenue. And I also have a concern about voting, early voting, and voting at the Church of the Risen Christ. I understand that there was a nearly $50,000 rental payment for the 9 days paid to the Church of the Risen Christ, and I personally view that as a combination of church and state, which is not kosher, at very minimum from my perspective. We have enough room here at the township, also from my perspective, to handle that, and I would very much appreciate keeping that kind of voting under our own roof. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor,
well, let's wait till board comments, okay? Okay. Anybody else? Very good. We're going to move on then to board comments. I'll start off, we have, our next meeting is going to be September 10th, and we're going to start off with the police and fire budgets, and we're all set on that. Then we have an agreement with the Ridgewood Hills HOA. This is on a variety of changes to their homeowners agreement, and it's been it hasn't been litigated, but there's been a lot of lawyers involved, and it's finally coming to fruition. So we'd like to get that off our plate, and it's all good. I mean, it's not we're not at odds with the HOA. looking at possibly the bid acceptance for the East Lawn project. That's the neighborhood just to our west that is in need of paved roads and sidewalks and drainage, because right now it's probably pretty flooded tonight. And then I think Bob Dorshevitz will have to talk about this, but then maybe the AMI intent to bond, and this would be for the advanced water meter system. So that's what's going on there. Right now, it's still, a little early to tell, but I know we do have a counteroffer from the fire union, and we will more than likely, I've shared that with you, we may have a study session that night, although that might get pushed off until the 24th. And let's see, we have we had a really successful, Wendy, I thought you were going to talk about the historic marker, but we had a very nice unveiling of the historic marker over at Gulfview Park, which looks terrific, by the way, and we're very appreciative of all the work that you and the Historic District Commission put in. It's really taken several years, by your efforts and former trustee Jack Dempsey, and this is all financed by in part by the grant that we received this year from Wayne County Parks, and so we want to thank them for their involvement as well. We're having a 9/11 ceremony on that day, and I'll have Trustee Buckley talk more about that. And I think that's all I have right now. Trustee Stewart.
Thank you. I have a list of things, but I am incredibly grateful for the thinking, reasoning voters of Plymouth Township, having lived here 40 years. I think I heard Doctor say moratorium on development, substantive look at our master plan. Secondly, Lake Point has been without power since 20 minutes to 7. A huge dead tree on Crabtree, 41415, has fallen on an electrical wire at 14920 Maplewood. The picture's here from my wife, who I'm sure you'll agree, if you know her. She has the patience of Job and the nerves of steel. But we're out power. And fortunately, Chief Conley just checked, so the fire department's over there. DTE has not arrived yet. Also, I think our board meetings should contain notable events that happen in our township. We had a drunk driver aim and point, and he ran over and destroyed a speed reader trailer.
Another one?
Is this the one that happens like a year ago?
This is the one that happened a year ago. It's never been mentioned at a board meeting. So the chief, I believe, may be asking for a third speed reader trailer. Awareness is the first step to correction, so I'm all for it. Finally, on a positive note, human interest, a longtime resident. He's been impugned a lot, I'm told. I block a lot of crap on social media and Facebook. But let's give a round of applause for the 50th wedding anniversary of Sharon and Dwayne Zantop.
All set? Okay, Trustee Buckley?
Yeah, I've got several things to discuss. The first is we do have a 9/11 ceremony coming up on 9/11, go figure, which is a Wednesday. We have kind of a new program. We have Brigadier General Slocum from Selfridge, who will be coming out and being the guest speaker, as well as having the PCA choir coming out to sing our national anthem and play taps as well. So I really do invite you all to come out. It should be a very special and moving event that we're putting together. I also just wanted to comment real quick on my over 6 hours of visitation with the firefighters. I really do believe that education is key, and I do think that a lot of interest is in the HVA and firefighter issue, but I don't think a lot of education is out there. I would highly, highly encourage the board, as well as the citizens, to stand in that firefighter department and learn from them what they do and how significant they are to our community, how much they love us. And they are just absolute professionals in their job. I walked away learning so much information about how lean their operation is and how very close it can be in terms of dicey situations. And so we really need to, when we say we're going to support them, we need to support them by being educated and learning about their job and what it is that they need, and what that support looks like. As well as on that note on education, some of you, well, a lot of you, unfortunately received a newspaper in which the back page article attacked the Veterans Commission as, well, more pointedly towards me. And I'd like to clear the air on that. To whomever wrote that, first off, point one, the Veterans Commission was not created by Mr. Heisey. As it reads here, with the new Veterans Commission now underway, oops, I got the wrong one. Hold the phone. Let me go to the other one.
Are you going to go through this point by point?
There's a lot of points.
She's got the floor.
All right.
Chris, now I can't find it. Go figure. Anyways, the email. What was that?
It's comments, right?
Yeah, she's making
comments.
Comments. Huh? No. Yeah. Okay, so in an email from Kurt back to me, Jen, I've not forgotten about your interest in creating a Veterans Commission. I would like to do this by board resolution or ordinance, basically whatever vehicle we use to create the environmental and historic district commissions. I'm looking at what other communities have done. If you have anything you'd like me to look over, please email it to me. So in the paper, it cited that Mr. Heisey created a commission, and just clearing up the air that no, indeed it was my idea. Also, just wanted to point out just how sad it is that someone would take the opportunity to insinuate that any type of things related to me as a Gold Star widow or a veteran was some type of photo op for a campaign. I cannot tell you how hurtful that is. I had CBS News in my home 2 weeks after the knock on the door by a national news anchor. I've been interviewed in Time Magazine. I've been in a Faith and Fitness magazine. I was on the cover of Unleash the Gospel magazine. So to say that is not only disingenuous, but it's just downright evil. My story of triumph over tragedy is what people are interested in. I have overcome a lot of adversity in my life, and that's to be celebrated. If I can help any other person, even in this room, the people that want to be my enemies, if I can help you overcome adversity, by God, I would do that. Use my story as an example. And on that, I'm just going to move on.
Thank you. Clerk Vorba.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor and everybody knows, there's no room in this building for any kind of election polling place. We use this room to count the ballots on either by early opening and processing. We use the multi-purpose room over there in order to process those ballots. There's no other room in here that's available for any kind of voting. Since the change in the absentee voting process in 2018, which allowed no reason absentee voting, the number of people who chose to use absentee voting has more than doubled. And so it takes more and more time, more and more effort, more and more money to do that. There's no place in this facility in order to do that. At this point, I would like to thank also Josh Meyer, who's in charge of the school security. The day before the election, we had a major power outage that affected precincts 5, precinct 7, and precinct 12. 2 of those buildings were school buildings, and Josh Meyer and his people came during the night to help restore the power there and stayed on task until it was done. I met with him, I met with my staff. We had to arrange an alternative plan for precinct 12 because that was the last building to come online late at night, about 10, 11 o'clock the night before. So we had to have an action plan, and Josh helped us with that, as did the chief, and the fire chief also, because we would have had to mobilize people to move a precinct to another location by state law. And so I want to thank Josh Myers and the school board for their help in doing that. We did have a successful election, and I want to thank all of our volunteers and all of my staff for their hard work and diligence in making that happen. Thank you very much.
Okay, Audrey.
I guess I'm up. I just wanted to bring to the attention of the citizens that there is a proposal expressed that for radioactive waste scheduled to come to Wayne County, more specifically Van Buren. You absolutely have to address this. This isn't something that's just a Van Buren problem. This is our problem. These things leach. Who knows what'll happen once this is put in place? And money talks. So please, I'm going to be leaving the board, but I'm asking you to at least give it consideration to make sure that you have your voices heard on this really important topic. The other thing I want to say is I want to thank everyone who voted for me. I want to thank everyone who supported me. It's an honor, it's a privilege. Many people don't think that. I'm not a career politician. This was my first run at it, now my second. But I have enjoyed every bit of it, even though we had a few contentious meetings. We understand each other, that we all have the same focus, right? We have the same focus of our community. And that's what I wanted to bring back to the board. But that was not to be, that's not God's plan, that is, I appreciate everyone who supported me. They gave me financial help when I needed it, gave me encouragement when I needed it. And lastly, and I really thought long and hard about this because I don't want to be negative. I'm not a negative person. I try not to be. But I have to say, for all coming up in the next election, for all those people that want to disseminate misinformation, understand it doesn't just affect the candidate. It affects their family as well. And there was a lot of it against me. And I just found out a couple of days ago that there's somebody who sits on this board that disseminated information, that's misinformation. So please, be kind to one another. If you have an opposing a view of something, you want somebody else there, you don't have to be dirty to do it. Have confidence in your candidates, that they'll rise above all that, and they'll be where you want them to be. That's the kind of people we're supposed to be here in Plymouth Township. So I want to thank you for coming to the meetings and addressing all the crazy issues that we had, because it made me a better person. And I hope my help on this board has also helped you in whatever little way I can. Thank you.
Thank you. We still got a few more meetings left, so don't go anywhere.
I know.
We need
I'm not
you,
going
we need
anywhere,
you
but
here, you know? Bob Dorshevitz, I forgot about you. Are you still out there?
I can't top what Jen and Audrey said. I would just echo that. But I'm good for today.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kermey.
Bob, I have a couple of questions. What date are you cutting off to put water bills Unpaid water bills on the tax roll,
November 1st.
November 1st, so there's still quite a bit of time to pay up. All right. Okay. I wanted to strongly urge you not to bring the notice to bond for smart meters. Leave that for the next board, please. It's too early. Second, or no, I guess, all right, Fire Station Building Committee. I've asked several times to be on it. Chief, when is the next meeting with the architect?
Nothing's been established at this date.
I don't know.
When did you have the last meeting?
When they did their last step, which was all the drillings and that stuff.
What date was that? What month was it?
It was several months ago, like the last time.
So you're not having regular status meetings with them?
We don't have any status to do. They've finished the drillings, the borings, and
Okay.
that's where they're at now, and that's the last bill we got.
Well, when you have a project, you always have a status.
That's
There's
the
always a
status we're at.
status. So maybe we should do one when you get a chance. I'd like to be invited.
When I get a chance.
Pardon?
When I get a chance.
Okay. Budget planning invite. Is the budget planning already done? I'd like to be part of that planning.
The budget is going to be delivered to the Board of Trustees on or before September 1st. The draft general fund budget, that is a requirement of state law.
Right.
My administration has been working on the budget since probably June.
All right.
It is largely done at this point. We made some final changes today, and you'll be getting a copy of it, and we're going to be holding meetings with the relevant staff, which we've been doing for the past 8 years. They didn't do that before, but we'll be doing that on September 10th with police and fire, September 24th with general fund, DDA, and BRA, October 8th with trash, water, and the senior bus, with a goal of a budget, publicly required budget hearing on November 12th. But I will provide more details on the budget at our next meeting.
All right, so I won't have any input before it's published?
You absolutely have input. Everybody.
No, but I
here-
mean, any sit-down meetings?
No, because
Okay.
it's a draft, and it's
right.
my responsibility to present that to you, which I've done for the
Do you
last 8
intend
years.
is your timeline to approve a budget before this board, before November 20th?
My intention is to provide what I would call a 90% budget that will have sufficient flexibility for the incoming board to make any final changes in the month of December. You have at least one required meeting in the month of December, and you can have as many as you want after November 20th. So you'll have the new board will have ample opportunity to make any changes, additions, or deletions to the budget at that time.
Okay, so that'll have to be done. Jerry, meeting schedules for after November 20th, or we've got them already set up?
They're already set. Yeah.
Okay, all right. But then when we make the new schedule?
The new
be
schedule
willing
is
to-
required by state law under the Open Meetings Act, and that schedule would be put together, probably would be voted on at the,
In December.
could be the December meeting. I'd prefer it to be earlier because of the newsletter and getting information out there. So I would prefer
We've been doing it in November.
October, November.
All right. I'm requesting that I be part of that planning of those dates.
I mean, I was just gonna recommend the second and fourth.
Well,
Tuesdays like we always do.
some of the second and fourths are weird, with holidays and things, so maybe we need to look at the calendar, so.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
board discusses every year.
Pardon?
we have that discussion every year. I mean,
I know.
we make that proposal.
I know, but I'm talking about getting let's propose one that is accurate as possible the first try, instead of trying to do it at the board meeting.
Yeah, well,
When have we ever done that?
Pardon?
When have we ever done that?
we never have. We never have.
Well, no, that's why I'm proposing something different.
Not in the last 20 years.
It's not brain
Well-
surgery. We will look at our calendars and we'll put something together and we'll give it to the board and the board can make changes. Okay. All set?
All right, no, we're not all set. Horse track lawsuit status.
Motion to dismiss has been drafted. I don't know when it'll be filed. I had a Zoom meeting with Kevin and Matthew Zalewski last week, and things are moving along on the motion to dismiss.
So will that be in open court?
Yeah, it always is.
Okay, you'll let us know the date?
Downs versus Plymouth Township.
That's 8 months old.
Okay, we're getting far afield here.
What is 8 months
Okay, I'll
old?
end on a positive note. Chief,
Sorry, John, yeah, You're interrupting.
I'm
Kevin,
not done
the
yet
question-
either.
The question is for Kevin, and Mr. Kermy has the floor. So.
You preparing it?
So Kevin,
You're not.
Kevin, just answer the question. The motion has not been filed yet. There's been no hearing on the motion either.
That's my understanding.
Thank you. Okay,
Who
Mr.
will be
Kermy.
notifying us of the date in court?
It would be Mr. Zaluski.
He'll notify the entire board?
Yes.
Okay.
Or he will notify me, and I will make sure the entire board is made aware of it.
Okay. We have not had an economic development status. Do we intend to have one?
No.
Or just let it go?
No.
Okay, let it go.
Not interested.
Not interested.
What's
All
my
right.
understanding, Mr. Heitman sold his house. Is he,
I'm not disclosing personal information of
Well, it's
any
public. It's
public
on,
official,
Zillow.
of
It's on-
any public person, so that's out of line. Mr. Kermy, you have the floor.
I would encourage a closed session for reviewing the labor contract with the fire union.
That is a proper request, and we will probably do that at some point. Need a motion to adjourn.
okay, my positive motion to.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to.
Motion made by trustee Monahan, seconded by trustee, by clerk Vorb. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.